Hello, my name is Benjamin Hart. I'm an American attorney and the managing director of Integrity Legal here in Bangkok, Thailand. As the title of this video suggests, and the reason it's in quotes, we're discussing Thai long-term residence visas. As we've discussed in other videos, this isn't actually a residence visa. It's just a really long stay non-immigrant visa. I know that's kind of a semantic point, but it's worth noting. These are 10-year visas, proposed 10-year visas, by the way. We haven't actually seen them rolled out yet. We're supposed to see them in Q4 of 2022 here. But the reason for the video is, as we said, the devil is in the certification. Thought about making this video after reading a recent article in Hua Hin Today. That's huahintoday.com. Article is titled 10-Year Long-Term Resident LTR Visa to Make Living in Thailand, quote, easier and less bureaucratic. So they were talking about wealthy pensioners, quote, are defined as retirees age 50 years and older who have, quote, personal income of at least $80,000 per year at the time of application, unquote. Alternatively, quote, in case of personal income below USD 80,000 a year, but no less than USD 40,000 a year, applicants must invest at least USD 250,000 in Thai government bonds, foreign direct investment, or Thai property, unquote. And then on another topic, they were also talking about for, quote, work from Thailand professional, they need to show, quote, personal income of a minimum of USD 80,000 a year for the past 2 years, unquote. They also need to be employed by a, quote, public company on a stock exchange or private company in operation for at least 3 years with combined revenue of at least USD 150 million in the last 3 years, unquote. And kind of the reason for the video is, I know there's a lot of people chomping at the bit about getting these visas, but there's going to be a period of time after this comes online where the sort of rubber is going to hit the road and we're going to figure out exactly what the practicalities are with these kinds of things. And oftentimes when you're dealing with immigration, and this is both in a US context, a Thai context, both, certification of documentation can be a really tricky thing, and trying to get the documentation needed to meet the requirements associated with getting especially a visa of this magnitude, I think is going to be a rather serious endeavor. So, and when I say a visa of this magnitude, you know, I don't know of any visa other than Thailand Elite, which was only really sort of recreated a little less than half a decade ago, or maybe a little more than half a decade ago, give or take about 5 years. You know, we haven't seen the Elite up until now. That just has not been there. And with the Elite, it's not a matter of certifying anything. It's a matter of just paying to be in the Elite system. And even then you have to go through an immigration background check, which that has its own set of problems. So the reason I bring this up, going back to the era of the income affidavit associated with the Thai retirement visa, when they stopped accepting notarized just affidavits, the issue hinged upon certification, whether or not the American government would certify that somebody was, in the case of Americans, the American government, in the case of the British and the Australians, etc., whether or not their respective embassies, their respective governments would certify the veracity of that person's financial situation. And those governments said no. Now, I don't know how this is going to play out in a long-term residency visa context, in this LTR visa context, but I suspect there's going to be a rather prolonged period where dealing with the documentation requirements associated with these long-term residence visas is going to be a pretty difficult and cumbersome thing until we kind of get things smoothed out and we start to see a system, you know, sort of a, you know, an overall system that one can sort of has a degree of certainty in processing through. But yeah, certification, I suspect, is going to be a major sticking point, at least initially, associated with the application and approval of long-term residence visas here in the Kingdom of Thailand.